Hello everybody, it is me, it is I am still alive. Okay, now you might be wondering, first of all, why am I making a video? Why haven't I been making videos, I guess, for months? When I do upload a video, it's a random video about Kingda Ka, even though I never really talk about anything that goes on in the coaster community. But I'm gonna talk about that a little bit more as to why I personally am going to talk about Kingda Ka, and I have a few things to say regarding myself, not necessarily about Kingda Ka. Well, it's about Kingda Ka, but it's also about myself. I'll talk about it later. But before I go there, I'm going to talk about, like, well, what's going on. In case you've been living under, like, 16 stacks of boulders and you haven't really heard, what's going on, or what's potentially going on, I guess, is Kingda Ka is being heavily rumored to be gone. As in, it's being removed very soon, and it's never coming back. Now, these rumors have been circulating for months. I mean, technically they've been circulating for years. I mean, with these Intamin Strata coasters, Dragster and Ka alike, they both had poor histories in terms of reliability and expenses. So it was kind of only a matter of time before, they shut down. And we obviously already saw Dragster technically permanently shut down. I mean, yes, we have Top Thrill 2, but that's nothing like Top Thrill Dragster. At least mechanically it's not. It has no hydraulic launch, which was the main draw, in my opinion. But then we still have Kingda Ka. And now Kingda Ka, for whatever reason, randomly, seemingly out of nowhere, it appears that just everyone just decided to start talking about this ride. And there's been rumors that, I don't know where they came from, but rumors saying that Kingda Ka is going to be demolished at the end of this year. Or not demolished at the end of the year, but it's not going to open for the 2025 season. And so I'm not necessarily going to be talking about the rumors and, like, speculating, like, oh, why is it going to be closing? When is it going to close? That's not the point of this video. I just want to talk about a few other things regarding, again, myself and Kingda Ka. But I did just want to address the rumors, and in case you're curious what my perspective was on them. Usually I'm not necessarily one to, like, fold into just random rumors that I see online, especially ones that don't have a source. One of the big, like, I guess, question marks was the fact that Great Adventure has never said anything, and now there's going to be arguments on either side saying, oh, well, Great Adventure wants to do a silent release, they don't want to tell anyone, it's going to be, that's what the PR wants. And then there's the side of things that are like, okay, if Six Flags hasn't said anything, that means they're not removing anything, and everyone that thinks that something's going on is crazy. Then, of course, we also have the markers that have appeared all over the whole area where Green Lantern and Kingda Ka both are. And that does look pretty suspicious, I will say so myself. And no, I'm not an electrician or an engineer or an architect, so I can't necessarily specify what those markers are like for. I know different colors mean different things and whatnot, and a lot of people are arguing that, oh, it's only like electrical lines or communication lines, that has nothing to do with construction. But I do find it very suspicious that these popped up after the rumors started, and it seems that a lot of people, very large content creators, are very, very convinced that this is, like, happening. Coaster Studios was extremely confident about it. They're very, very confident that, yeah, it's gone. And I'm not just, like, again, I'm not justifying, I'm not saying that, like, oh, because Coaster Studios and Alto Orion and Hollywood Studios are all talking about it, that means it's happening. Not necessarily, but again, with the amounts of speculation that's kind of come out of nowhere on top of these markers, and the fact that it all kind of makes sense given that the Cedar Fair merger just happened, and Cedar Fair Six Flags merger, and Cedar Fair is now in control of the company technically, and with their whole fiasco with Intamin and Dragster, now they have Kingda Ka in their hands. I could talk a lot about, again, the rumor specifically, but I don't really want to make this video about that. I wanted to, again, talk about my personal connection with Kingda Ka, because once I actually go to Great Adventure, I was going to give you my backstory with Kingda Ka and how Kingda Ka pretty much turned me into a roller coaster enthusiast. So I'll be talking about that in a little bit. Which reminds me, that's exactly what I'm doing, driving this Mini Cooper. I am currently in New Jersey. It's Veterans Day weekend as of when this video is being recorded, and as far as I'm concerned, Kingda Ka is still open. It was open yesterday and the day before, and the weather looks great, and I don't see a reason as to why it would be closed today. So here I am. I booked a very last-minute emergency trip. I'm only doing this out of precaution because of the what if. What if the rumors were true? I'm not saying that they're true. I'm not going to, say one side or the other. I have arguments for both. And again, I was thinking about making an entire video as to why they could be true or why they could be false. But if you guys saw my last community post, I am just trying to finish up college, so I don't really have a ton of time to make videos. However, because of how much sentimental attachment I have to Kingda Ka, I felt it was super important for me to come and get potential last rides on it because of that what if. You know, what if the rumors are true? What if Kingda Ka is done for the rest of its life, for the rest of our lives? And regardless of what Great Adventure's plan is, even if this is all fake, even if the rumors just kind of came out of nowhere, which working at a theme park, sometimes they do. Sometimes like people just make stuff up. It's like none of these rumors sometimes have sources, which, you know, again, I'm not saying that the rumors are fake. I'm not saying they're true. I'm saying what if? What if Great Adventure does remove this ride? But what I was gonna say was, even if the rumors were false, Kingda Ka is still an Intamin hydraulic launch strata coaster that's had a long history of problems, and realistically, even if Great Adventure doesn't plan on removing it like right at this moment, it's only a matter of time, realistically, before Kingda Ka does bite the dust. And I would really hate to see it go out in the same way Top Thrill Dragster did, with, you know, an unfortunate accident which had to force it to stop immediately, and that didn't give anyone enough time, or any time at all, to get their last rides in. And that's not at Cedar Point's fault. I mean, the accident was debatably Cedar Point's fault, but nonetheless, the decision to close it wasn't necessarily like Cedar Point intentionally trying to just silently let go of the ride like Great Adventure could potentially be doing, which again, I'm not confirming this, I'm not denying it, but I don't think Great Adventure would do that. I think they would at least announce that, hey, Kingda Ka is not going to be resuming operation in the 2025 season. My personal theory, and again, I can make an entire video about this, but I'm just going to be brief with it. My personal theory is that Great Adventure, once they know how much Kingda Ka is important to their park. They are fully aware that that ride is an icon that draws people from all across the globe, different continents. People travel to ride Kingda Ka because it's the world's tallest and one of the fastest roller coasters. Technically, it is currently the world's tallest and fastest roller coaster because Formula Rossa at Abu Dhabi's Ferrari Land is currently, or Ferrari World, one of those two, I don't remember, is currently SBNO. It's standing but not operating. The hydraulic launch is completely taken apart. It is not operable at all. It is not in any condition to run. So therefore, Kingda Ka is technically the tallest and fastest coaster in the world right now. It's an icon. It's been drawing people to that park for years, and I know Great Adventure knows that. However, it is expensive, unreliable, and kind of old. It's almost 20 years old now. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it makes sense to replace it with something better and also more reliable and cheaper to operate. Which is why my theory is that Great Adventure, they're currently working on that replacement, and I don't think they're going to do Kingda Ka dirty. If they do, then this whole company's a bust. I've lost faith in Six Flags Entertainment Corporation. So my theory is that they're gonna build something absolutely insane. I don't know if we're gonna see them working with Intamin, but it would be like absolutely amazing if they did, because I think Intamin's really the only manufacturer right now that can do anything that can outdo Kingda Ka. Like, I don't even see them getting like some RMC. Like, you know, maybe they could, but at that point, I think I'd rather see some crazy, tall, fast, Intamin launch coaster, similar to Falcon's Flight. Now, will they replace a tall, fast Intamin launch coaster with another tall, fast Intamin launch coaster? Probably not, but I would love to see it. Imagine getting anything similar to Falcon's Flight. Imagine if Great Adventure tries to immediately outdo the height and speed record so they can keep that record, and they build something insane like Falcon's Flight. That will do Kingda Ka justice. Now, if they do something basic like we're seeing with the Flash Super Boomerang, or like, you know, something gimmicky that's not very special, then again, I think they're doing Kingda Ka dirty and not really, I guess, caring a lot for Six Flags Great Adventure as a park in terms of, you know, having that iconic roller coaster for almost 2 decades. You know, they have to replace it with something just as iconic. Which leads me to believe that, sorry, I keep saying this, but my theory is that they haven't figured out what they're doing yet. They are currently in the process of marking up the area and, you know, seeing where the communication lines, the electrical and the sewages and all that. You know, again, I'm not an engineer, so I'm just, you know, kind of spitballing here, but they could be potentially surveying the area, seeing what they're gonna get rid of, which in this case is Kingda Ka, Green Lantern, possibly Twister, and the Parachute Tower, and then what they can also reuse. Notice that there were markers spotted in the station. I think that they're going to try to reuse the station, or at least modify it in a way we saw with Top Thrill Dragster, station being like kind of demolished, but also kind of kept and modified. So we could be seeing something like that, so they can at least reuse the structure, or at least part of the structure, for whatever it is that's gonna replace it. And once they've fully figured out what it is they're doing, and what ride they're making, who they're working with, then I think they're going to make some sort of announcement on Kingda Ka. But until they are like 100% done with the blueprints and the design of whatever Kingda Ka's replacement is, I don't think they're gonna say a word. And my reason for that is because I think that if Six Flags Great Adventure just goes out and says, hey, Kingda Ka's closing, that's it. goodbye. People are gonna be mad. People are already mad, but people are gonna be more mad if they're like, you're just gonna shut it down and that's it, demolish it, and that's that. Yeah, people are gonna be super upset. As opposed to, hey, we're closing Kingda Ka. However, we are replacing it with this. Bam, drop the new announcement for a really awesome roller coaster that could, again, do Kingda Ka justice. That will ease the pain of losing Kingda Ka, I think, in terms of marketing and on a business level. If they say, yes, we're taking down Kingda Ka, but we are replacing it with this crazy looking roller coaster that we think is gonna be better than Kingda Ka, I think that that is the smarter business strategy. Because if they just say Kingda Ka's gone and that's the end of the story, then people are gonna be mad. People are just assuming that the ride's gone and that's the end of the story. No more Kingda Ka, no nothing. And so then, of course, I could spend like hours rumoring about like, oh, what are they gonna replace Kingda Ka with? I'm, again, not gonna talk about that in this video. That's not the point. I'm already spending too much time on this bit. But what I will say is that I don't think we're seeing anything like Top Thrill 2. I highly doubt the new Six Flags company is planning on working with Zamperla. And you already know that that Cedar Fair, which is in control of Six Flags now technically, does not have good working relationships with Intamin, which is why, even though I've said that I really want to see some crazy, cool Intamin launch coaster, I don't necessarily think we're going to see a reworking. Now, if they did rework it, I do have a slight theory that could involve them extending the layout, which is something they didn't do with Top Thrill 2, which could also explain why they're getting rid of Green Lantern, is because instead of after the giant airtime hill going into the brake run, they could extend the layout into Green Lantern's former plot and make something crazy that way. That, I think, would be awesome, and I would be okay with losing Kingda Ka for something like that, for a reimagined version with an extended layout. Of course, we'd be losing the hydraulic launch. I think no matter what happens, we're losing the hydraulic launch, even if they do reimagine the ride in some way with electromagnetics, or with electromagnets and LSMs and whatnot, but we're losing the hydraulic launch for sure. I think that's the big problem. That's the troublemaker here. Of course, there's also Zumanjaro. If the ride does get reimagined, then that still poses the question, is Zumanjaro on its way out? Maybe. They might just keep it there. They might not demolish it, but they might just not operate it. I mean, if they're gonna reimagine Kingda Ka, they might take a moment to like, hey, we still have Zumanjaro, the world's tallest drop tower, and kind of remarket that ride. And plus, since that area will bring new foot traffic, maybe Zumanjaro will be popular again for at least another season, and then they can just leave it SBNO, because realistically, people, I mean, the big reason why that ride isn't very popular is just so inconvenient to get to. I've been to Great Adventure before. This is my second time going. It's just such a pain to walk to. It's so ridiculously far. Kingda Ka alone is already really far from, like, I guess the main areas of the park. And then Zumanjaro's entrance, which is right next to Kingda Ka, forces you to walk the entire length of Kingda Ka in order, because, you know, that's where Zumanjaro is, and how else are you supposed to get there unless they made a shuttle of some sort, which it's Six Flags, they're not gonna do that. But yeah, that's kind of it. That's kind of what I want to stop at when I'm talking about the rumors. Again, I'm not going to be the one that says, yes, it's going to close, or no, the rumors are fake. You know, you can take it how you want. Plenty of other people have already made tons of videos on this. Coaster Studios, like I mentioned, El Toro Ryan, Collywood Studios, and a bunch of, you can literally just search Kingda Ka closing on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, and you'll see like 100 different videos made by a bunch of different people already. So I don't feel it's necessary for me to, like, you know, analyze it and think, and try to like speculate what's going to happen, when it's going to close. All I can say is that I think, again, they're not going to announce anything until they have a replacement set in stone, and then they're going to make an announcement. Now, whether or not the ride's going to continue operating, since we're already at the end of the season, if they make that decision and they already finished the blueprints before the season starts next year, then I don't think they're going to open it again. I think it's gone. I think they're just going to start working on the project and be like, oh yeah, hey, by the way, Kingda Ka is not going to open. I mean, parks have done that before. Dragster is an example. After the incident, it was left in question as to whether or not the ride would reopen in its current state. And then at some point they were like, yeah, nope, it won't. And then we just kind of had to cope. Volcano was in a similar situation, except the difference is Volcano was in a non-operable condition. Kingda Ka is. However, in order for Kingda Ka to be operable next season, it has to go through its off-season refurb, which costs a lot of money. And if they're going to remove it anyways, you know, why would they do that? If they were to keep it open for at least the beginning of next season, I think that they would announce it before the season starts, or at least close to the beginning of the season, saying that, hey, Kingda Ka is going to close on this day. So that way, it does give people a chance to go ride it, and more so for business, it gives them a lot more foot traffic. I mean, they make a lot of money. They can potentially make a lot of money by just literally sending out a message on Instagram saying Kingda Ka closes on this day. You know, they lose nothing from doing that. They get all these people coming to the park to ride their ride that they're just gonna have open anyways. Personally, I think that's the best move, is on this off season, figure out what they're doing, get that replacement set. Once they have it set in stone, you know, sure, they have to invest into this last final refurb, but it'll more than make up for it once they get hundreds of thousands of people more than anticipated coming to ride Kingda Ka. Again, that's just my opinion. That's not me saying that I think that's what's gonna happen or not. I just think that that would be the best idea, is it gives people a last chance to ride Kingda Ka, and it also helps Six Flags, you know, with its, I guess, communications, because as of right now, everyone's mad at Six Flags. They are not looking great in terms of reputation. So again, I think the best way to fix that reputation is speak on Kingda Ka once they have the replacement done, so that way they can immediately say, hey, we've got something better coming, and here it is, as opposed to it's gone. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'm gonna continue driving. I will get to Six Flags Great Adventure. I realistically don't see myself riding many rides other than Kingda Ka, and of course Twister and Green Lantern, because those are also rumored to be on their way out. So I do plan on coming back next spring, mainly because I was actually gonna go in spring anyways, but this was before all the Kingda Ka rumors started, so I'm gonna go now to ride Kingda Ka for sure. And if it is still with us in spring, then hey, I get to ride it again in spring. So I'll come back in spring. I know El Toro is closed for the season, so there's a big reason I want to go back, and also so I can ride all the rest of the rides in the park, because I'm only here for one day, and again, I'm really only gonna be riding Kingda Ka all day, ideally, if it's open all day, which again, it's an Intamin accelerator. I work at one. I know they're not the most reliable attraction. But yeah, I will see you guys at the park. Alright, so they just opened the park, and a bunch of people took off sprinting for the king. My goal is quite simple, and that is to ride this thing as many times as possible. Alright, so earlier I was talking about how Kingda Ka means a lot to me personally, and I just want to talk about that. But essentially, one of the big reasons why I thought it was so important to come out to Six Flags Great Adventure to ride Kingda Ka was because I personally give Kingda Ka credit for, I guess, jump-starting my interest for roller coasters and kind of turning me into a roller coaster enthusiast. And the reason why is because, I mean, I guess here's the lore of MNL2 Contriver. So when I was a little youngster, a little kid, I used to spend a lot of my free time watching just random YouTube videos online. And a lot of times, I guess roller coaster videos would pop up, and I would click on a lot of just random roller coaster related videos. So like, I guess top 10 videos and just like random videos showcasing different roller coasters from around the world and stuff. And so, you know, this was kind of before I was a coaster enthusiast, so I was just watching just for fun. And I would often see this ride just popping up all the time, like always seeing it on people's lists and like different random videos saying like the world's top 10 roller coasters and stuff. And Kingda Ka would always appear. So then that was one spark of interest. And then I remember seeing this Kingda Ka Megastructures video, which came out, I don't really know how long ago, but when it did come out, it was really interesting to me. I really liked watching this thing get put together, and made me really interested in like roller coasters and like the different types of roller coasters around the world. And then I just started getting recommended a bunch of other videos related to roller coasters and, you know, stuff like that. And I give this roller coaster a lot of credit for making me interested in roller coasters to begin with. This is kind of the brief version. I was going to record a longer version, but I do want to go and spend more time actually riding this thing instead of sitting out here in the parking lot taking pictures of it. But yeah, the ride's been up most of the day. It's been flickering in between 1 and 2 trains, so I'm going to try to go back and get more rides on it before it's possibly gone forever, which, like we talked about, isn't a confirmed or denied rumor. But let's not test that. That's why I'm here. But yeah, and so because I give this credit, or give this ride so much credit for, like, I guess making me interested in roller coasters and turning me into a coaster enthusiast and making me want to learn more about roller coasters and travel to see them, I felt it was important that I go and see it one more time while we know it's still operating. And if it shuts down forever and I don't get that chance to say goodbye, then I'll be pretty upset, like on a personal level, because I won't be able to experience Kingda Ka for its final time. But yeah, that's Kingda Ka. I, again, don't necessarily know if this will be the last time we see it operating. By the time I upload this video, it's gonna be the end of Kingda Ka's operating season. So there's that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I already told you what my thoughts on the rumors and stuff are, but you know, whatever happens, happens. We can't really do anything about it. So yeah, goodbye. And goodbye Kingda Ka. Maybe, hopefully not.